Okie doke. So let's go back to screen share and we'll be looking at the audition material. Okay, so this was first published as a magazine serial. So it's before we had television serial comedies, we had magazine comedies and people would get them weekly and they would read the next article. So The Thin Man was written by Dashiell Hammett, featuring a society couple, Nick and Nora Charles, and their dog Asta. Asta was a huge fan favorite, who are drawn into the seamy underbelly of crime as amateur sleuths. While living the high life of martinis and champagne toasts in their regular life, they become the favorite rescuers to friends and relatives who, for one reason or another, have found themselves embroiled in criminal activities. So it's a great, fun comedy. And we will be presenting this as a live radio drama with individual microphones behind plexiglass. And here are what we're looking for: Nick and Nora, the couple, Dorothy Wyant, Joe Morelli, Julia Wolfe, Macaulay, Laura, Jean, Mimi Wyant, Gilbert Wyant, and Al Neunheim. Auditions will be the performance of a dialogue for which you'll be reading the part for which you're auditioning. Pick one of the sides available with which to audition. Not all characters are represented in these sides, but pick one that seems appropriate for you. Auditions will be through a video submission or via Zoom. So you can actually create a video or you can do it live with Zoom with the director. The director will follow up on each person regarding callbacks. So here's the audition slides, can be found at sbcctheatergroup.com, and the audition form, you can click right there. If I click share, this will take me to, and now are you guys seeing my new screen, which is SBCC Theater Group?
No.
You're still on that page where.
Okay, you're still on the, I'm still on the previous page. Okay, so now I'm going to have to switch screens. Great. So now you should be seeing a woman in a kind of sparkle dress.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the theater group at Santa Barbara City College, and you can see theater group sbcc.com auditions. Up at the top, here are many selected menus for you to look at. This was from the Games of Foot that we did a couple years ago. It was really super fun. Who Done It? This woman was a medium. So here's our current auditions. The Thin Man, a live radio play. And then here's upload your audition and audition side. So this is where you'd come in to put in your video. And here's the selected text for which you can audition. All right. So I will post this in the chat. What's this? Yeah, there we go. And also I think it's you'll see in banner, you'll see the next piece. So this is for the Thin Man. It will be rehearsed online in Zoom with Katie Laris, our co-chair, and then you will be performing it on the Garvin stage. Okay, any questions about that? All right, the next one that we are auditioning is for the SBCC stories. I'm going to put these both in one announcement so that you're able to see them both at the same time. And this is going to be a Santa Barbara City College stories. All call out to everyone. It's to faculty, it's to staff, it's to students. And what we're looking for is a piece of writing, and let's look at that. We're going to look at that right now, if I can find that. You'd think I had it marked, which I did, and then I completely lose my mind. So here it is. I did have it. I had it highlighted. And here's what we have. We're looking for stories. We want to put your story on stage. You can share a whimsical, poignant, comical, or surprising story, and you could submit today. This is a live link. We want to celebrate SBCC's most talented and impressive stories and storytellers. This is your time to shine. Fill out the story submission form online here by February 5th. So that gives you 2 weeks. I'm going to click on that in just a minute. We will review your story. Maggie McSell is going to be the director. She will review your story. 2 people in our class are likely working on it, Sam Horn and Kit Loy. And we'll select our favorites to reach out and get you in front of a camera to tell your story. So if you don't want to do that, there are some options. So if you click on that, you'll see this is our audition form. True stories written and performed by the SBCC community. Directed by Maggie Mixell and stage manager Samantha Horn. Do you have a story? This is your opportunity. And then here's how you audition. You put in your email, your name, your phone number, what your role is here at City College, what is your major or department affiliation or your goal, and then where are you currently residing. This is important because we need to know about filming the story. If you live outside of California or you live far away from Santa Barbara City College, it doesn't matter. Someone else could read your story for you. All right, and then see, it's not going to let me go to the next one. But anyway, it's 2 pages. Oh, let me just do this so that you can see it. Let's put in your pipeline address because that is the best way to communicate.
Are these auditions required for the class or?
No, not required. I just want you to be aware of every opportunity that you can participate for school. And one reason why is because now you can see the next, here's your story form. This is what I wanted to get to. You can write or paste your story right there. 1,400 words max. There's no minimum. Like it could be a 1-minute story. Totally fine. If your story is not in text, you can upload a video. So you can just talk right here. If you click that, you can just talk your story. Are you comfortable telling your own story? A yes means that you will, if you say yes and your story is selected, then you will tell it on stage. If no, then someone else will show your story, okay? So I just wanted to show that. The reason why we're talking about this, Diego, is that we are going to be working with the script, The Thin Man. And that's the first piece. So I have a PDF of that script that's uploaded into your Canvas site. It will be in about 1 minute. And you will be able to read that and go through the first exercise, which is your cross plot. And based on your text that we were reading in our chapter 1, it talks about the action chart. So I wanted you to have experience with creating an action chart. Okay. So that's why I'm showing you that. If you are interested in working on a play, if you're interested in being in a play, or you're interested in writing your story, that will also work along with our particular focus in this class, which is going to be on the Thin Man story. And that's the first script that we're going to look at. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, super. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the Canvas site, and I'm going to go to a page. Let me just see if I can get that first. And we'll show you one, and this is going to be called the cross plot. Okay, it's going to be called an assignment. Sorry. So it'll be all assignments. Oh, maybe, sorry, maybe I did this. Okay, I did do it. All right, I couldn't remember what I called it. There's too many things going on. So you will be working on this particular piece. And I just want to talk about how this works. The reason why I guess I have to end that and start it again because I couldn't figure out where it was. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. In order to work on a script as a costume designer, you need to be able to read it in a different way than you read it as an actor, than you read it as just a viewer. How many of you have read a script before? You can do thumbs up, you can just say yes or. So what's unique about a script? What is unique about a script?
It's not like a book where it tells you what the people look like or how they're dressed.
So
Or like the description of the people is pretty vague, or the characters rather.
So one of the things that we want to think about when we're talking about a script is that we get our information from dialogue. Okay, and dialogue is two characters or more talking to each other. So really it's just people talking. When you read a novel, you get a lot of information about what does the background look like? What is the environment? What kind of weather is it? What kind of car do they drive? You know, you get all different kinds of dynamic about people. In a play, you get dialogue, which is one person talking to another, multiple people talking to different people, a crowd of people in a room. So all you have is who says what to whom. So we have, just like in journalism, we have who, what, when, where, why, and then how. So one way to do a script breakdown is just answer these questions about each particular thing. We're going to do a small exercise in a breakout room. I'm going to show you the script. You can go to a breakout room. We're going to read a little bit of it, and then we're going to come back with these questions answered, and I'll do it in a linear form for you. So first of all, you're going to answer the question of who. That'll be whoever's talking and whoever you see, even if they're not talking. Then the question of what. So what are they doing? What are they talking about? When does this take place? So there's a couple kinds of when. Can you think of what I might be saying? What do you mean by when, Pam? What do you mean? So there are several things that this comes under. First of all, it's talking about time. In other words, what time period are they in? As in era or year. Okay, so when is it taking place, in what year? Another thing about time is what time of year. And we will go back and talk about the inauguration just for a minute, because we have to think about the fact that the time of year that that's occurring is January, a very, very cold time of year for Washington, D.C. So in our story, when is the story taking place in a specific year? And what time of year is it taking place, which creates a season? And that's going to influence all kinds of things. It influences, what do people wear, but how they move around in the space. Okay. How are they doing? How many things do they have to put on before they go outside? So it really talks about movement, ease of movement, what they're wearing, all kinds of things go into season. So think about that. Where are they doing it? So you want to go from the large to the narrow. So first of all, what country? And as all actors know, that can help us determine what accent, what part of the country, what accent. Is it urban or rural? Do the people inhabit urban or rural? And sometimes you'll have both. Sometimes you'll have this is an urban story. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But some of the people in it may be from a rural background. So you need to think about, where is this taking place? And then within the script, is there a specific location, which may be a house or an interior, So is it interior or exterior? And let's go back to when. It's when in the script, because we're going to break this down by scenes. So for each scene, you answer these questions. And when in the script does it occur? So when in the script. So in other words, things at the beginning of the script are going to give you a certain kind of information. In the middle of the script is a different kind of information. And at the end of the script is a different kind of information. The next one, of course, in our journalism is why. Why are they doing these things? Why are they doing these particular actions? What is the purpose behind it? So it's not what they're doing. It's why are they having those actions? What is the purpose? Okay. And then this last one is how. And this goes back to time of year and all of these things. How are they doing it? And this is usually an adjective. In other words, how is the scene unfolding? Is it urgent? Are they moving in a very rapid staccato method? Is it very lugubrious? Are they moving like a symphony? Are they moving like a waltz? So think of it as a musical term. How is the action unfolding? And it also talks to pace. Okay. Why are these things important for a costume designer?
It helps you not only better understand what kind of things the people of that time period would wear, and also like at that specific season, like what they would wear, but also determines like maybe how you would dress that particular character. So like if a certain character is like very flamboyant, maybe you would use more like bright clothing, or like if they were planning to go swimming that day, then like maybe they would wear like more swimming attire of that era. So
Right.
it helps you determine all these different factors, like the different props, the different base layers.
So what we can do is we can, like, let's say that this is this is a roller derby. Well, the purpose of the action, it may be to conceal something about the two teams, but what they're wearing is going to be completely influenced, because this is an interior thing. It's a very active sport. It has a lot of action. It's going to be unfolding in a very urgent pace. There's going to be a lot of physical movement, physical expression, sweat, wear and tear, all those kinds of things, right? When does it take place? So this is the biggest one that requires, all of these things require research. And the library is going to be your best friend. So when does it take place? And, you know, if you just say it takes place long ago, that's not specific enough. And one of the things that's difficult about being a costume designer is when you start putting clothes on people, everyone thinks they know what happened. Everybody thinks they know how to dress. So I'm old enough, you know, I remember part of the 60s and 70s, and you guys might have that in your mind of, oh, this is what the 70s look like. But until you actually look at not just high fashion magazines, but people of the 70s, and specifically within a fairly narrow range of years, as we get closer, and you'll see in our historical research, as when we talk about history of costume, as we get closer to contemporary, we start breaking things down in half decades, decades, half centuries, centuries, multiple centuries together. So, you know, as we get closer to our contemporary time period, the range of years that we discuss gets a little bit narrower. And that will help determine what somebody in roller derby looks like. And if you look at the TV show Glow, for example, you would see what the 80s looks like through 2020 eyes. They're looking at a 40-year history. They're looking back in time at what that particular thing might have looked like. That's an imagination. That's a creative leap, right? Because we don't want to recreate history. We don't want to put a museum up on stage. That's not going to serve the character. The character has life, personality, interacts with others, does a certain kind of way of thinking. So all of these things are really critically important. And
But wait, I have a question. How do you balance that? Because you want to stay, like, you want to show that, especially to the people that like live through that time, you want them to be able to recognize that time. But also there's another generation where like they completely have conflated these ideas of what represents that era. Like, how do you balance that, and how do you know which parts to choose and which parts to like actually show on stage?
yeah, no easy answer to that. Excellent question. I mean, it's a question I ask myself every single time with every character. Every single character. And it is much more important and essential now, because people think that they have access to what actually happened because they have the internet. And they assume that that is absolutely truth, which it may or may not be, right? So that is a question that you ask every single time you try to work with a character. And you have to do what is true to a character. But here's one thing that you can think about. Even, was that you, Kit?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm just recognizing your voice because we're not doing that. So think about what you have on. Each person do that. Take a piece of paper and just write under, or you could do it on your phone notes or whatever. Write 5 things that you're wearing right now. I'm going to do the same. And it can be basic, you know, you can write black shoes, flip-flops, pajama bottoms, or whatever. Okay, just make a note and write down 5 things.
Is it okay to like write down accessories?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. I'm just going to stop share for a second. So you guys turn your, let's turn, I'm going to so that we can see each other. So let me get you on show non-video participants. Okay, so everybody have your 5 things. Okay, now.
Can you please move a little bit so I could see the whiteboard so I could take a screenshot of it?
Yeah, we're not going to move away from this though, Colby. We're going to
Okay.
come back to this, so don't worry.
Okay.
I'm going to put you in breakout rooms so we can discuss something more intimately with this and you'll have time. Okay? Yeah. And then because I also want to talk about the cross plot. So who has their 5 things and would be willing to share? Just, they can be basic. You want me to go first?
I can go.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have like ugly Christmas themed pajama pants, a paint covered gray t-shirt, a really ugly pink scrunchie, and then I have a foot wrap because I did henna on my legs last night, and then like little Totoro themed socks.
Okay. So now from that description, I want you to say the first thing once. Stephanie, say your first item. Your old pajama pant, or who
Oh,
didn't?
I have Christmas themed pajama pants.
Oh yeah, who is that?
It's Sam.
Oh, Sam, I don't know why. Okay, I'm not finding you. Okay.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on. Sorry.
Okay, that's good. So Sam has her Christmas themed pajama pants. So Cara, what year do you think she got them?
2 years ago, 2000.
Okay,
well,
so we're gonna
2008.
say those are 2018 pajama pants.
Yeah.
So Sam, you just write that down. And then the next thing was the gray t-shirt. And Stephanie, what year do you think that gray t-shirt is?
3 years ago.
So 2017. And then she has a scrunchie. So does everybody know what a scrunchie is? Who does not know what a scrunchie is? Ah, okay. Let's see, show and tell. I think I may have one right here. So it's like this kind of a thing that you can, they can be bigger, but you can go like this and kind of control your hair, you know? So that would be what somebody would call a scrunchie, that kind of thing. Would that be sort of what you're referring to, Sam?
Yeah, I have a really big one. Like it's
Yeah, so sometimes they're fat like that. So what year do you think that's from, Diego? When do you think she
year?
got the scrunchie?
Scrunchy. Pretty
Pretty small, looks kind of disposable.
They're disposable, so like, cause I don't know much about scrunchies.
I'm giving you a hard question, that's for sure.
I
Because
don't
you're
know
a
how long-
guy and you probably never used one.
Yeah, I never used one, so I don't know how long they use them for or anything
Or
like
just guess.
that.
We're asking for a guess.
Okay, I guess few years.
No, you have to say a year.
A year.
Pick one.
Yeah, like 4 years maybe.
Okay, so 2016. We're for reference, we're just gonna go from 2020, assuming that you haven't purchased any of these things this year. So, and then was your leg wrap one of the things you want us to talk about?
we don't have to. It's not going to be something that
Okay,
like older
so
than-
toe socks, right?
oh, they're like Totoro from like the Studio Ghibli.
Okay, so Ghibli, who wants to take on that? Kit, because you were laughing. What year?
Probably 5 years ago.
So 2015. Okay, and do you have one more item?
Not really.
How about your glass? How about, let me see if I can pick something out. Okay, so how did they do about picking out what year your things were from, Sam? So in,
The closest one would probably be the socks and the shirt.
so when did you get those?
The guess was 2017. I got it in 2016 for the shirt.
Okay,
Then the socks are about 4 years old.
okay, so about 2016 or 2015.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the pajama pants?
Pajama pants were from this Christmas
Okay, so they were 2020. Okay.
gift. And then the scrunchie, I go through them pretty fast because of work, and they get like burnt and stuff because of
Disgusting, yeah. So pretty recent, 2020. Okay, so what, if you guys look at your list right now, what is the oldest thing that you have on your list? And how old is that?
My socks.
Wow, really? Your socks are your oldest thing? How
I
old
mean,
are they?
they'll last me for years. I mean, it's probably I honestly can't remember what year, because
Okay,
some of them are hand me downs, some of them are new. Like I bought them like years ago.
oh yeah, this is a really important thing. How many of you have something that, we talked about this before, Colby said he has nothing that's hand-me-down. So how many of you have something on your list that's a hand-me-down? Okay, Kit, how old is your item on your list that's a hand-me-down?
I honestly have no clue. I have these like cozy pants that I got from my mom, like I think 5-6 years ago, and I'm not sure how long she had
Maybe
those.
she had
so,
them 5 or 6 years, so you might have something that's from 2010.
yeah, I have no clue.
Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is when you talk about what are you going to put them in and how do you effectively reflect the era, you need to take into consideration, is the character wearing something that is cutting edge, high society, of the moment? Is the character, even if they're contemporary, wearing something that is likely to be from a thrift store, used, hand-me-down? Are they from a big family? Do you see things get handed down? And you might see things get handed down in a particular situation, okay? Sometimes shoes. How long have you had your shoes? And I would say, I'm wearing things that are, like, I'm wearing these pants, right? They look totally normal pants. And probably I got them maybe 15 years ago and they were a hand-me-down. So, I could be having things on that are 20 plus years old. You guys were babies then, so you don't have anything that, but Sue might have something like that, or Cara might have something like that. Or if you're wearing something that's vintage, you could be wearing something that's 50 years old because that's the 60s, right? And then there's certain things that you can keep in mind about when that are a classic silhouette. And that's what we're going to talk about in History of Costume, is we're going to create a classic silhouette so that you can see that things repeat and they come from things that happened from before. And those things are timeless. And then you can't really determine time on them based on what you're looking at. You can only determine time on those if you deconstruct them. Okay. So we're going to take a minute and talk about, when I used to teach this class, not this particular, when I taught a class about a scenography class, we had each person do this for a Shakespeare play for every scene. And when you do this for every scene and you get down to how the scene is unfolding, you have a lot of information about the script. And I would say, in my experience, which is almost 50 years now, that the costume designer has more information almost than the director, and sometimes more than the director, because you're doing the research at such a granular level to try and figure out what makes these people tick. How can I iconically identify what makes them tick? How is do I have a nervous habit I need to reinforce for them? Is there something that I can give them that they do? Is there some sort of physical activity that, and this often comes from a designer. It's like, what is that? I need to place to put this because this is their nervous tick. We are the closest person to the actor. And the actor often discovers their character through the costume. So it's a very authentic and deep looking at the character that helps you decide. And at the same time, you need to keep in mind the whole. Okay, so we'll look at one. Let me just, well, Odalus, you have socks that are older than something? You put socks in the chat and I missed it.
Yeah, I do.
How old are they?
They're 6 years old.
Excellent. I'm always surprised when people, I wear wool socks a lot. So I love those and I try to keep them a long time because they're very expensive. But I think that's commendable. So I want to talk about the assignment first that you're going to work on with the play. And that is going to be to create this thing called the cross plot. And if you've been with me in a class before, this is one of the things that I do every class period, whether you're in theater appreciation, whether you're in makeup, whether you're in costume design, costume technology. Every single time you're working in theater, you have to do a script breakdown. And what I just delineated on the board, which we'll go back to in a minute, is a way you can do it. But how are you going to adequately go into a meeting with all of those pieces of information so radically written down and be able to identify what the director's talking about at a moment? So a cross plot is a way that you can organize a script on one page. You're going to use a grid method. And in our textbook, it calls it the action chart. And this was a more, this is also a thing that you can say because it does show the action of the play. So you're going to create a grid. And in this, you're going to create a one-page roadmap for not the Tempest. We're going to do it for the Thin Man so that it will look, this tells me everything I need to know about how to get somewhere, right? So here's why you want to make this grid. You'll be able to see the movement of the characters from scene to scene, from location to location. You can identify important scenes. You can tell the time or the day changes, and you can put it all on the page for one convenience. Here's how you make it. When you open the file, you'll have a list of character names. So we're going to look at this. You're going to have character names that you're going to put down here. It'll say you're going to go to the blank. And it will be character names like this. And then there'll be a grid across the top, okay? And it will be the Thin Man. So back up here. The character names are in the first column. Across the top of the grid are more columns. At the top of each column to the right of the characters represents Act 1, Scene 1. Or in this particular thing, it may only go, it will be French scenes. So it may be from one page to another page. It'll be Scene 1, Scene 2, Scene 3. And then you'll identify what is the location that is occurring during that dialogue. When they change location, they'll change scenes. What event happens during that scene that is the signature event of the scene? What is the most profound thing that happens in the scene? So we're talking about the Tempest, and I'm using this as an example because it's a play that most people know. In the very first scene, we're at the ocean. The event is a shipwreck. And this happens really before the script starts. It actually is pre-Act 1, Scene 1, we have a shipwreck. And we know that because we have Prospero and Ariel talking about it. But why do I put it in here? Because all of the people that are involved in the shipwreck we're going to see later, and we need to know that this occurred as a costume designer. Because when the audience sees these characters, they're going to have come from a shipwreck where their clothes are fresh and new, okay? But you need to know because there is this great storm that happens in the beginning of it. So you'll want to take Thin Man, Act 1, Scene 1, and I'll give you this blank Tempest, blank cross plot, and then you can fill the characters in. And for every scene that a character's in, you're going to put an X. And then you'll put another X. And if one character goes all the way across the whole page, well, you have a major character. Okay. If two characters go across the whole page and then they're not one, the second one isn't in a couple of scenes, you're going to think, well, something important's happening about that. So this gives you who is in a scene, where they are, what's happening, a page number so you can quickly identify it if you need to refer to something in a meeting. It will tell you when it happens, because you can do a day, date thing here. If that's going to be, maybe it's important that you know it's morning, it's evening, it's the next day, it's 4 days later. And that will give you what's happening. So all of the information we just talked about, you can see quickly on one page so that you can have a very quick meeting and be able to identify things and talk quickly about what's happening. Why is this important? Well, if we have some character starting here, they go through a major thing here, we need to know, how are they going to look at this part? Are they wearing one costume throughout? Are they wearing 4 costumes throughout? If the script has 6 days in it, and that's another thing that we need to put into our when, is how many script days are defined there. Then you need to be able to think, well, do I need to indicate that to the audience? Okay. Are there questions on this spreadsheet?
Yeah, have you published this yet?
No,
Oh, okay.
because I'm going to publish it with Thin Man. So I'll publish it and I'll give you time to work on it.
Got it.
I had a question.
Yes.
A scene, is that like, can it be like 15 minutes and like 1 minute, or how
Yes.
long is a scene?
A scene can be any minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you gonna
Yep.
get the link to the scripts? That way we
Yep.
we know it.
Okay, wait, I'm going to stop share. Okay. So in your assignment page, you'll have a PDF of the Thin Man. And it will be the script breakdown assignment. So you'll read the Thin Man. This will all be outlined. It's outlined in the assignment. You will have the template of the spreadsheet with the characters to fill in on the left. And then you will fill in the top part. So the who is the characters that goes down the left. The top part will be, where are they, which is the location. What are they doing, which is, what is that major event thing? When are they? Is there a time change? If we decide, and I'll let you know, the Thin Man is in the 30s. So you can put that up at the top, Thin Man, 1935, Los Angeles. So we have that major part of the overarching part of the script. But then you can be concerned about, are they in the house? Are they in the living room? Are they in the kitchen? Are they in the car? Are they in a taxi? Where are they? Okay. And then when are they? When in the script, meaning when are they in the story, in the beginning, the middle, and the end? And let me make that say the story, because I think that's better. Okay, these two got to be thrown away. when in the story are they? And then how much time passes in the story? So how many script days are there from beginning to end? Sometimes you're going to hear about things that happened pre the story, but how many days did the writer put in the story? And then sometimes you might have a 3-day story, but the first day happened 10 years ago, the second day happens in the present, and the third day happens 10 years in the future. So the arc of the story might be 30 years, but it might only be 3 script days. So do you see how complex this is? We're starting with a fairly straightforward play that unfolds chronologically over a very short period of days. And we won't be jumping times, and we won't be going back and forth in times. And we, I don't know, it seemed like for a couple of years, that's all we did. Like, oh, now we're in this, now we're 20 years before, now we're 20 years back, and we're doing all this kind of time travel. So these kinds of things are things that we will be addressing when we read a script. And you do that part first, because then you know, what do I need to look at for research? What do I need to look at for, and it forces you to look at the whole play and not just isolate on one character. Does that make sense? So you're looking at the macro of the entire play. You're looking at basically all the characters. When you look at the grid, you'll see who's important, because you'll see their line is darker. They have more X's on their line. And you see what scene is important, because there will be more characters in that scene. And that gives you like a pattern, a physical visual pattern of, oh, the story starts small, it gets bigger here, and then it ends here. Or it starts small, it gets bigger, and then it gets really big at the end. And then you know how the shape, the physical shape of the story unfolds, because there is a visual pattern that you've created on your paper. And often scenes with more characters have more importance, or there's some indicating some kind of climax or something. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So let's go into breakout rooms for just a few minutes, and you can talk about this. I'll screen share that, or we can just keep this on and you can see it. I don't know if you can see it in a breakout room, can you?
No, that's why I wanted to screenshot it for myself.
Okay. How about I will publish it? Okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. I will publish this so that you can see how this, you can just see how this works. As I'll publish it. It's called part of the recorded lecture, and then I'll put down script breakdown, and I'll indicate this, and I'll indicate the template, but the assignment will also have the template in it. Okay. Is that good for everybody? Okay. So we're not going to, we really only have about 12 minutes, so we're not going to go into breakout rooms, and you can't talk about this because you won't have read the script. So I'd like you to, I'll put that on the assignment. Please read the script for Monday so that we have that. It'll be on your assignment so that we can discuss it in breakout rooms, and we can have this kind of a discussion. And if you can, and your cross plot will be due by the end of the week, but you will, if you're working on it, you'll be able to see how that will help you. So that is one of the major things I wanted to address today, is how to read a script. It is just a really important way, an important thing in understanding how we can get through something as a costume designer. And I had a friend that said, I don't know how you can possibly even be a costume designer because there are so many variables. And that is true. In costume, we have infinite number of variables. Unlike scenic, where when they're actually, once they get a design, they're dealing with just a very specific set of materials to create that design. In costume, we deal with unlimited kinds of human body and sometimes non-human. And we deal with unlimited kinds of materials to execute that particular design. So it's very tough to order things online because nothing comes in 4x8 or 1x2 or 1x3, or, you know, there's not a set size for the kinds of materials that we work with. We work with a wide variety of materials. So speaking of materials, how many of you looked at I'm going to wrap that up for now. How many of you looked at the art supplies list and resources? And do you have any questions about that? Did anybody look at it?
Arts and resources, you mean all the stuff that we need for this class, like all the
Yeah, on Moodle, on Moodle, sorry, wrong thing. On Canvas, I published a different kind of art supplies thing so that if you wanted to get them, I know Kit, you published one, it was part of your discussion and I chimed in on there. Did you guys see that? So it's this page on your site. Let me just, I directed you to a place that I've worked with before called, here's the art supplies list. And it's called Art Supply Warehouse. This kind of a color wheel thing, this is watercolor. These are cake watercolors. And you can see you have, you know, kind of a set of primary here. Red, yellow, blue, black, white, and then there's a brown. There's a little well here for water. And then there's a variety of other colors here. So this would be a watercolor, dry watercolor, cake watercolor. There's watercolor tubes, as we talked about before. But then there's paper. I've listed a couple of different kinds of paper that we've talked about. There's the SKU numbers, there's prices, and then a few brushes so that you could just look at some different kinds of things if you were stuck on art supplies. Whatever you have, if you have some kind of color media, you have some kind of presentation media, some kind of paper that you can present on, some kind of a sketch pad, that would be for your redrawings and for drawings that we do in class. And thank you for everyone who uploaded theirs. And please don't get any smaller than 9x12 because that'll service you the best for throughout the entire class. Some kind of brushes, you don't need this many, but you need probably 3 or 4, at least one kind of wide one, maybe one narrow one medium one. You can really manipulate your brushes, and we're going to talk about how to manipulate brushes. And then a few pencils. You can also work with colored pencils. You need to be able to have a particular kind of color media that you can move around. So if I use this and I put it on my page, it's important that I can also move it around. Okay, that I can make it darker or lighter. So that's why I say watercolor, or you can use acrylics if you water them down, they can work like watercolor. Colored pencils, you can also move around if they're watercolor pencils. And also there's even a thing called watercolor crayon that you can move around with water. So you want something that gives you some flexibility because we're going to work with, you know, creating highlight and shadow in certain ways. And you'll have exercises doing that. I'm going to post a couple of just basic things, but I'm giving you some time to get your materials together. Okay. So anybody have questions on how to get the materials or what you need?
I don't have a question, but I do have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Just So I recommended Michael's because they literally always have like 40% off sales. If
Yeah.
at the very lowest, they have like 20%. But something that I found, since I work with a lot of different mixed media, is I really love.
Are you gonna show us something?
I
Hey,
have.
hold on, let me just a minute. Let me give you a pin so we can really see it.
Will this work? No, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn off my virtual background.
Yeah, just put it in front of your face.
Here.
Yeah,
Well,
and put it down.
doesn't-
We're looking at the back of it.
Yeah, it
Oh,
it just ends up taking that. So let me take off this.
You have
real
to get rid of your virtual background. There you go.
So, I have this one sketchbook it's
Canson. Yeah.
can and sun together.
Yeah.
I really like this one because I can use, like, I have acrylic in here. I have
Right.
watercolor. I can use anything with it. And then I also have this pelican, and it's spelled pelican, but like with a K.
Hold on a second. We can't see it. It's Pelikan. Okay,
Yeah.
Pelican.
And I really like this one because it not only has a really great set, but it also has like these wells on the other side.
Yep. So you guys, there's you can buy that's a great linear set. It's really great for all of the different colors that you need. So that's completely fine, but you do need some kind of color media, and that would be important. So I used what Kit showed you was those little wells, and you can actually often pick up, even at a junk store, an egg crate. Like there's things they put in refrigerators that are plastic, and they have little wells, but you can also use just little cups. And when we work with that, we'll talk about how you work with your brush, and you have to have a minimum of 2 water sources, and how you blend those things together. Okay. The brushes can be round. I find a round brush is very beneficial. So you can have, I think I showed you a wide variety of what I had before, but you can have round, you can have flat, you can have angled, pointed. So if you have like 3 brushes that are 3 different sizes, that's probably enough. And then, you don't have to spend a lot of money on it, because you may choose to do some things digitally. But our first couple of exercises, you are going to draw by hand as you guys turned in your drawing. And if you didn't turn in your drawing, I need to, I'll have to open up something. Josephine.
Yeah, I also had, it's not a question, but I have a really good thing that I wanted to share.
Okay, just a second. Let me see if I can get you pinned. Just a second. I gotta.
For everyone.
I have to find you.
Yeah.
I don't know how okay, well, anyway, just go ahead and talk. I think we can find you.
Yeah, there's like a plastic pencil
Mhm.
that like you can open right here, so you can put water in it and like push it down, so the water comes out from this little pencil. It's really great, I think, for like,
Yeah,
drawing.
water pencils are excellent. They're really fun. Does yours have a little felt tip, or do you have a little bit of a brush tip on it?
No, it's a brush. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are really great. The water is actually contained in it. They're really water pens, I think is how they're advertised.
Oh, yes.
Does anybody else have anything they want to share about? Yeah, seriously. Does anybody else have anything they want to share about art supplies or the materials? And just really something, Josephine raised her hand. And so then I could actually see her in the participant screen, which was really cool. You don't have to get one, Diego, because we will be doing, it is convenient and you can carry it with you, which is kind of cool. But you can also dip your brush and in water and do the same kind of thing. Okay.
Wait, but that that brush does look pretty useful because
Okay,
it seems
so-
like a lot faster than just like than other, because not only just squirt water out of the pen, you know, you kind of like don't have to like do that. You could just squirt it out of the
But when
pen
you
as
change
I-
colors, you have to do that anyway. Every
Okay.
time you change
yeah.
color, you have to clean your brush.
Mhm.
So you could have multiple of those brushes for different colors, or you could do certain of all colors, you know, one color all at once with that. But every time you change color, you have to clean your brush off. So that's
Okay.
that's an interesting thing to remember, is especially when you're working with water, is you want to make sure that you're not contaminating one color with another. Sometimes you want to. Sometimes you want to move that color around. Okay. So if you want to get one, and you know what, a lot of people love to get stuff because it's like, it's cool and it kind of is inspiring and fun. So then by all means get one, but not required at all. But it is super fun. So, you know, if you're on a limited budget, you can do it with one brush, and you can do it with just the primary colors, black and white. So I don't want you to have to feel like you have to run out and spend a bunch of stuff. And if anybody's having a real struggle with that, can you please you can email me offline, and we can chat about how you can get stuff. Otherwise, thank you for letting me have the inaugural morning, and look for our script. This is the most important thing to read, and our cross plot to get that happening. And then I'll post one drawing exercise. Okay. And I'll see you on Monday. Check your Canvas site and watch your emails.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Colby, nice hairdo, huh? Did everybody see Colby's blonde hair?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nice.
I got, I don't know, the quarantine bug. So
Definitely.
Oh, wait, did you do it yourself?
yeah, I just,
Looks
well, I
really
didn't
good.
cut it myself. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I colored it myself.
It looks really great. Like especially
Really
for like
fun.
mom and dad. Like that looks great. I
Yeah,
think that you
I've
might-
never